Alright, good evening everyone, this is Town of Sheldon Selectboard and Water Commissioner regular meeting for Monday, November 24th of 2025. Under new business, we got the highway report, speak about establishing credit accounts, got the town administrator's report, delinquent tax collector's report, water and sewer delinquent payment report, library trustees board vacancy. Need to sign and approve minutes of November 10th meeting, minutes of November 20th special meeting. We've got a warrant 2536, warrant 31709, fiscal year 26 grants and aid grant agreement, and sign and approve an agreement with NRPC for the fiscal year 25 Better Roads Grant. Under old business, we got salt shed project update and 200 Bridge Street brownfield study, so the historical society. Anything else we need to add?
No, I don't believe so.
All right. I'll jump right into the highway report then. How you doing, Hunter?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So since I last came in and talked to you guys, we've done quite a bit. Beginning of the month, we went out and graded most of our dirt roads. Did Maury, Bouchard, Central, Gilman, Duffy, and like the Innsbruck side of Cattell Road. It rained a lot right after, so majority of the roads held up pretty good, but like Cattell Road needs some attention. I want to bring in some stone over to like the Crow Hill side of it. There's a lot of potholes in there, and the roads have been a little bit too wet to grade them, but we've been holding the salt in the trucks, so we haven't been shuffling around. When we go out with the salt and stuff, which obviously we've had some snow, but we haven't really been able to haul a bunch up to some of the roads where it needs to be because we're storing our salt in our trucks right now. All the trucks are full of salt, so I didn't really think it'd be necessary to dump it out in the parking lot, have it get all wet and ruin the salt. But as soon as the salt shed's good, we'll probably, if the weather's still good, add some more stone and or grade if the weather allows us to. But for the majority of it, I think the dirt roads are in fair shape. They're pretty decent for the time of year. We went back over to Hill Street and just fixed where our trenches were. They settled a little bit on the lawn there and in the road. Added a little bit more stone there and just topsoiled where the curb stop was in the lawn. We put new cutting edges on the 21 and the 18. Both of their plows have brand new blades on them, so they should be good to go for the year. The 2015 brine pump that we sent out, the shop in St. Albans was able to fix it for under $200. They put a couple new seals in it and had to drill out some bolts. And he had a few hours in labor in it to get everything, but that's better than the $1,500 for a new one, so I was happy with that. The 21, the 15, and the 2023 all got oil changes. They all got their plow gear on. They all got serviced and are ready to go for the winter. They're all in pretty good shape. We got the 18 back. We picked that up, I think, last Monday. So that was like was a big bill, but it was only like there was like a 7-pin connection, and I guess it was corroded. 2 of the pins were corroded. So once they found that, they were able to get it, but just the bill from Allegiance was almost $3,000. It was like $2,500 in the labor for it, and the parts that they put into it were a little bit under $80, so they had a lot of time into the truck. But that one's, it's back and it's running well, so. The F-350, we got the new snow tires put on it. Tori Reed did it for us, and while I was over there, we had him change. There's 2 fuel filters, and one of them's up behind the wheel well, so he had it up on the lift, so we just had him do it while it was there. So that truck's also good to go. Same thing, we serviced the backhoe, changed all the filters and the oil in it. We did another service on the loader. We got the window replaced on the loader too. That was like $200. They had to, because the way those windows are made, the 2 side panels are meant to come out before the middle window. So we took it out and made like a rubber gasket up the sides of them, just so we didn't have to take the 2 side ones out. Which is just as good, I think, in case it breaks again, you don't have to worry about that. But we got the floor drains jetted. We had to get them jetted over there. Pipe dreams, they came here before, so we had them go over to the garage, and those drains weren't draining. There was water sitting in one of the bays for like a month, and I tried jetting them out with a little jetter head on our pressure washer, and it didn't do anything. So we had them come, and now all the floor drains work as they should. We fixed that guardrail on Cambridge too. We just took a threaded rod and sucked it back in so it's out of the way. I was worried it was gonna get caught with one of the plows going through the bridge. So that'll be good for the winter, hopefully. We've cut some brush around town over on Sheldon Woods. There's a few trees that were leaning over, and we cut those down. Took down all the flags around town, the American flags. Matt went down and took his wastewater exam. He didn't quite get the score, but he's going back down. I think next week, or I think it's next week or the week after. But he's going right back down for it. So hopefully he gets it this time. We did some sign work around Boarding House in Shawville. We put up the 2 new road signs, Valhalla and Cattle Drive. The salt shed's looking pretty good. I guess that all they have to do left is just put the steel on the roof and the side of the buildings. It definitely looks tall enough. He cut the new walls. He was supposed to do it at 4 feet, but I talked to him the day he was there, and he ended up cutting them at 5 feet, so we got the extra foot. I just want to be safe, because the backhoe sits a little bit above like 13 feet. So I figured if it was going to be the 14 feet originally, it would have just been not a whole lot of room for air. So now we're going to have like 2 feet of clearance at least. So I figured that would be good.
The backhoe or the loader?
The backhoe's the boom on the backhoe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It sets up just a little bit above like 13 feet, and with the way it was originally planned to build that, the ceiling line was pretty much going to be like 14 feet, but now it's 15 and change, so it's plenty of room now. Obviously I've ordered a few loads of salt. We've gone through 2 full loads so far. The first snowstorm we got was a pretty good one that turned into a nice storm, so we kept after the roads. I think it turned out pretty good that storm, and we've had a few snow events since, so we've been pretty busy. Another thing, there was when you had the PTO on the F-350, which obviously you needed to salt and sand, the truck would it was almost like it was in limp mode. It wouldn't rev up at all. Like if you're going up the hill, it wouldn't go like over by Chad's parents. I had the PTO on one day and I could barely make it up over that hill. So I called Iroquois, and there was it was like an inch box, and there's a little tiny screw on it, like something like a screw you get out of like the glasses, like very small. And we turned that up, and it changed the RPMs on it. I don't really know what it does, but it works, so I don't know. It was weird. But that was pretty much, I mean, we've done filler jobs here and there, but that was pretty much the bulk of the work that we did in the last 2 weeks. And then just some things that we plan on doing here in the next couple weeks or when the weather allows us. There's some shoulders on Duffy Hill and some ditching right when you get onto our section of it on the dirt. The water shoots out on the road and it kind of, it creates ice, but it also washes out the road. There's like a spring or something kind of right in the ditch, so we gotta re-ditch it and take some shoulders off. Once it thaws out, which it's supposed to, and hopefully we have time, we can cut that back and get the water to stop running in the road there. I already said that we want to do the work on Cattell Road once we can. There's some brush around the guardrails, and I think this is probably a better time to do it in the middle of summer when all the leaves and vines and everything are growing up over them. So on a decent day, we can go out and cut around the guardrails and wherever else we couldn't reach with the brush cutter. We got some road signs missing that we got to replace. They disappeared, and we have them at the shop, but we got to go put new posts and everything in. Another job is we got to reinforce like our screener for the sand, because before it was the backhoe bucket, which was smaller. So now that we got the loader, it's going to be taking like twice the weight. So we got to weld that up a little bit more, put some more bracing on it to make it a little bit more sturdy. Wednesday we gotta bring some of the sewer sludge to Coventry to the Casella out there, so that'll probably take up most of Wednesday. Obviously when the salt shed.
You're gonna dump the salt out of one of the trucks?
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah.
You don't have a roof, where you gonna dump it in the?
I mean, we can put it inside, and I thought about putting it in where like we normally park the backhoe, but the only thing with that is you're never really gonna clean it all out, and then we're gonna be parking the equipment in the salt, which is what we don't really want to do.
Where the coal patch goes?
Yeah. I just didn't want to track it in and out and have it. I don't know. We could put it in there, but
I wondered why you didn't put it in there to begin with. Just put it all in there, just for, take it out of there. Been riding around in the trucks there for 3 weeks.
I know
But, it's like, well, it's a cement floor.
Right. You're right. And I know. And there's a drain there. We could have plugged it, and we could have done that. Honestly, I figured that the salt shed would have been built by now, so I didn't really.
Yeah, me too, but, it was just said,
So
it shouldn't. But hindsight,
we can put it in there. I mean,
you're gonna put one load in there.
yeah. So
Unless he has the roof on for you.
Matt talked to him today. He said that obviously there's a holiday this week and he doesn't have the steel, so it sounded like Monday they were gonna deliver it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping by like middle of next week it's done. I don't think it's gonna take them a whole lot of time to.
No, they'll put that all on one day.
They built it pretty quick for
Oh, yeah.
the time they spent there. So
I'm not sure why the steel hasn't come already, but apparently that's what, they got that far last Friday and then.
Well,
you know,
he ordered the steel, whatever he ordered the steel, and it's probably all pre-cut, so it's gonna come out and there's no cutting to speak of, so
Yeah,
it'll go right on.
Another thing with the salt shed is, I guess he never planned on putting the plywood on the inside of it along the studs, which I think we should have it because obviously you don't want your salt sitting up there and eating away at, the wood and everything up there.
We talked about that, I thought.
Matt talked to him
Yeah,
today.
I talked to him today about it and he said it wasn't in the plans that when he ordered the materials, he didn't include that. So I don't know if Seth didn't talk to him about that or not, but.
It's not that much plywood, really.
Right.
No.
Cause.
It'll be kinda odd now because it's 5 feet, not 4, but
Yeah,
it'll just be a
gap
rip,
in it.
you'll have to put a rip. Even if there's a gap on the top, yeah, you're right. I think it should be sealed.
Yeah.
I do too. That's not a big deal.
No. And honestly, that's easy enough to do, we could do it, but he's got the list and everything.
Oh, no.
Might as well, you know,
He'll put that up and
so.
I would put that on there. It's
Okay.
just because it's, yeah. It'll be stronger.
Another one project I think we should probably do before spring is the sweeper on the backhoe. It needs like a new, we had to cut it off. It's like the front of the machine where it spins on the top of it got all rusted out, just whatever. So we cut that off because it was flopping up and down. So we cut that off, but we got to replace that. The solenoids aren't working on it to make it angle. It's either the solenoids or the wiring, and then we need the new bristles for it, which we can get those more towards the spring. But the other stuff would be nice to make sure when we have a couple days in the winter, pull that in and see what is actually wrong with it.
Maybe a new one.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. We've had that quite. That's been through 2 backhoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot to them really. I mean,
Right.
there's 2 motors on them and a couple solenoids, and it's
It's missing, it's supposed to have wheels on it.
yeah, and
They're not there.
I did find some in the shop. I don't know if they go to that one. We haven't tried them on yet, but those you just adjust them, you know, so your bristle you don't accidentally push too far down and wear it down prematurely.
Look for a price. Maybe you should price a new one and then price your parts.
Yeah, that's true too.
And compare the. And then you'll know how hard to work at fixing the one you got.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
That would be my advice.
Okay, no, that's probably the right thing to do.
And yeah.
We as far as that too, we pulled those fenders off the loader. That's pretty easy to do. Seth brought in a sandblaster, and we got all the rust off of them, and we put rust inhibitor on them today, and we'll paint them up, so hopefully those will look better anyway.
Maybe.
And pulling those off, there's a little rust on it that you can see, but it's really not that bad. And it's in pretty good shape. We like it. It makes it a lot easier in the morning to load and sand the trucks with sand, and we've liked it so far, so we're happy we have that.
Haven't found anything bad about it yet.
Not yet, no.
Good.
I talked to the guy from John Deere a little bit just about getting like what it would take to put in a quick disconnect on it, so we could have like a broom for that or something, and that was a little pricey. He didn't give me like a definite answer, but he said it'd be more up towards like 8 or 10 grand all said and done.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta re-weld the bucket that's on there to have a quick coupler on it, and it's a little bit of a project, so I don't know. So that's why I figured fix the backhoe one or get a new one for the backhoe. But we still gotta do an oil change and service on the 18, so we'll get that done sooner rather than later. There's a couple trees. There's one down on Poor Farm. It's on the side of the lawn there. When you pull up and go into the school, we'll probably cut that up and get rid of it. There's another one over by Andy Crane's on Pleasant Street that in piece of town property. We'll probably cut that one up and get rid of that one too. Got a bunch of tires from the tandems that need to be recapped. I don't know exactly how many. It's probably like 8 or 10 of them that we have there. Probably after January or whatever, we'll send those out and get those ready for next year. And after that, obviously when they build the shed, I wanna pull those 2 brine tanks out that we have inside and set all that up over next to the building. I just haven't pulled them out yet because I didn't want it to be in their room for working. But once we get those out, we'll fill those up with brine and hook up the brine pump to it, and we should be good to go for that. But that's pretty much what I had. I signed the other thing. We hadn't done it yet, and they emailed me this week, and I had to sign I haven't heard, but I'm assuming you guys accepted the salt bid and everything. I signed that over and sent it to them this week. So I had already ordered salt from him anyway, so I figured we already gave it to go, but we're all set with that now. But,
Have you, do you have a plan to monitor the stone usage?
The stone,
winter,
yeah.
So that we get a better idea of how much we need to haul?
Yeah, I wanna I made charts or logs for all the service logs. I've been keeping track of all the loads of salt. I got, like we're doing like truck checks. I'm trying to get the organization a little better, and since I've made them, we've been using them, like with all the oil changes and everything, but that's another thing with the stone about, I wanna keep track of what roads they're going to, and like, cause if we're putting, I don't know, a ton of loads of stone on the backside of Cattell Road maybe, and maybe it's worth trying to pave it at some point, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I do wanna keep track of that, and, I've been keeping track of the salt, so the stone is the other thing. We haven't put any out really on the roads in the last few weeks anyway, but, yes, I do wanna take care of that.
So we did put a little bit down on the end of the swamp road for the turnaround. That's-
Yeah, that's the other thing, Seth brought a little stone up there. He's making it work, that turnaround, it hopefully works out good for him when the snow gets deep and everything, but, down by Pete's west driveway, he's able to make that corner and back into, Roddy's driveway and leave, so. Hopefully it works out good all year, but, he's making it work, so. That's good.
Before we have to start really piling, did we ever get a resolution on the mailbox? I think it's on Sweet Hollow Road, though, it's like encased in concrete.
Well, it's, I think we were still gonna offer to, I guess we do need to get back in touch with that lady about that. I think we were gonna, she and I had a discussion about it, cause the problem is that it's in the brook, is where
Right.
it's located more, and I think that if the town can, as far as I'm concerned, we can put the mailbox, I think the mailbox that we replaced it with is the same size as the one she had before. It just needs to be moved back, and we just provided them with the mailbox, we didn't actually install it last time, and that's when they called and complained about it, but I have a feeling that if we actually go out there and pull the post and do it, that'll be better than.
What's the problem?
There was a mailbox on Sweet Hollow Road that I think got clipped a few times, and then
Oh.
they put their own in, and it was like on a concrete block or something.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with it,
So
is
if
it's
the plow hits it, then
4 inches of concrete thick or whatever, so if we were to replace it, we'd have to pull that out. But, I mean, I'd rather replace it with like a 4x4, like
Right.
everybody else's mailbox, but they, I don't know if they want to re-concrete it, and,
So they put in one of those piers,
yeah, exactly, and then the mailbox lid,
an SGR on pier.
yeah,
Sort
whatever it
of,
is,
and
and
it's
then,
got a plastic sleeve that goes over the top of it,
Okay.
and then I think
But you don't know that it's in,
I don't know how deep it is in the ground.
well, yeah. You think it's too close to the road?
It is too close, the mailbox, I had pictures of it last year when it got hit, and, it hung over in the road like a few inches.
I think it was there before we put the pavement there, so that's.
Doesn't matter, whatever. The postal service has
Yeah,
the right,
Yeah.
how far back it's supposed to be.
yeah, and this one didn't need it, cause we
Okay,
we
you
had that.
already,
We printed that out last year and handed it out to a few people that, yeah, but, I mean, realistically, that one, we could pull the concrete pier and drive in a 4x4. It's the same thing, you don't see it anyway, I mean, cause it's just a 4 inch by 4 inch concrete pier.
Oh.
It's not like, an actual tapered one.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
The mailbox just slides over it, it's not,
Right, and I think we actually had trouble because it swelled, the concrete swelled a little bit, so you
Yeah.
couldn't get the sleeve over it, so we just, if I remember right, we just kinda.
We put
tied
like-
it or something, I can't
yeah.
remember what we did, but we did our best we could to put it back together, and they didn't like that either, but.
but that's the other thing too is, and I don't know exactly how far the column is off the road, but the other thing too with it being concrete, if you hit it with a plow, it's really not good for all the joints and everything on the plow could snap them, really, depending on how deep it is. But,
Just something to think about before we get going into policy.
Yeah.
I know that, we talked about that one last year.
Yeah.
Well, let's try not to hit it.
Alright.
Yeah.
We've had a couple incidents already, but,
I've heard a lot of mailbox stories. Yeah. People at war with a snowplow.
Yeah.
Turns into a battle.
But no, I think we've been doing pretty good so far. Obviously, we've only been in winter for a couple weeks, but
Yeah,
we've had a few storms.
we'll be fine.
Yep.
But no steel till Monday.
that's what I heard today.
Okay. I drove by today, it looks
Thought
good.
it was gonna be, when I talked to him the other day, he thought it was gonna be in the middle of this week, and he called me today, to say he heard that because of the holiday, they won't deliver it till Monday, so. But
Whatever.
if I can call him, and if we wanna have plywood on the inside, I can call him, and I think you can probably get that done this week.
I'll take a couple hours, it won't take very long to do that. Back Monday and put that on, they probably put that on after they put the tin on. It'll be undercover.
Yeah. Well, even if they just put the roof on, which I don't know how he likes to do it, but even if he just put the roof on first, we could start putting salt in there. And obviously, he doesn't want to stand on the salt to do the
No.
plywood, but
Plywood, it'll take minimal amount of time to put
Yeah.
that up. But I think it's a good idea to put some, that way your wall will be smooth all the way to the top.
right.
And you won't, and like you said, the dust, the salt dust that'll be in there over the years won't contaminate your steel.
Right, and the other thing too is it kind of protects the stubs a little bit. If somebody accidentally starts going into a bucket, you're gonna hear the plywood before you hear stubs. So.
You're not gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx myself, so. But
Well, this one's a little bit wider, so it should be easier to,
no, it looks great. It's definitely big enough for us, so.
yeah, it'll be
Very
this
size.
great, but yeah. Add the plywood to it.
So.
The other thing, we had that, Matt, remember the compliance list that we got from, this is a state inspector, about like the guards and the grinders and,
Yes, yeah,
I don't know if that's something that's been brought to your attention to, I think we have a list of
Yeah, I can
little
share that
items
with you. Yeah.
at the
so it's our
garage that need to be,
Okay. Yeah.
It's just the loss control, inspector comes in April, and we've got some things that's where we got that lockout tag out kit, for example. That was the big thing they were talking about this year, but
Okay.
just making sure that we.
Yeah, I do know that there was some stuff down at the sewer plant, and we did address
Right,
them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I haven't gotten the list for the highway, but I know with the sewer they wanted like a ring and stuff down there. That's another thing, not to do with highway, but we had already talked to Matt about it. But we'd like to at some point see if there's some kind of grant or something. I don't know if it'd be considered like an upgrade for down there, but those steel grates on top of the aeration tanks are starting to get pretty rusted out. Like one of them that's already kind of snapped, and I don't know if it's possible if we can get some kind of upgrade grant or something to try to replace those. Because we can replace a few of them, but if a couple of them are going, they're probably all starting to go. But just something to think about.
How big are they?
It's the size of the tanks. They're all they're like probably they go anywhere from like 6 inches to probably like 18 inches. They're just pieced in there, and you can flop certain ones over. You can flop them all over, but they're all different sizes, kind of pieced in there like a puzzle. But
There's a few other things that we have talked about before, like the plastic on the drawing bit.
yeah,
That needs to be done, and probably should, a couple of the windows on the main building need to be
Yeah.
redone as well, so.
and like that, I don't know if that's considered an upgrade or if it would just
Maintenance.
But
Maintenance.
so,
Is it just one particular section, or is it
it kind of is.
all over?
It is like we could. depending on how it goes, I mean, if we could get a grant and do all of it, that'd be the best thing, but, like that section where that one did break, that you can definitely see it's a little bit more rusty up in that area, and for whatever reason, I mean, they're all the same thing, so I don't know why that one particular thing.
Well, where the exhaust goes or something here.
No, it's up. I don't know if it's like, doesn't get as much sun, doesn't dry off and then it rusts out from water, I don't know, but
Yeah.
something like that, something to think about at some point. But that's not really good highway anyway.
Well, measure the grading, get some prices on grading.
Yeah, and I don't know if like Valancourt's makes anything like that. I feel like it's more like an industrial, get a hold of somebody that does like industry stuff and.
That's what you can order grading,
Yeah,
buy, 4x8 squares of it.
yeah, cause I think they make them in those short sections, cause all, the returns and the air valves and everything, you can just flip one of them over and you can get to it easy and
Right.
then you don't open it all up. I think that's more of a safety thing, but, we can try to get a quote on whatever, so. I haven't priced it out at all, it just came to mind.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You don't want him falling in there.
No, it's like 14 feet deep, so.
Yeah.
Good thing we got the life ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
So,
that sounds good.
alright. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
Have a good night.
Credit account.
Alright, so that, I guess 100 things to. One, we've been discussing, the employee boot and uniform allowance, and a couple things have come up. One is that I think Seth just sent in his things that he ordered on Amazon and gave his, the traditional reimbursement way of doing it. Although I told him when he did it, I said, well, next time you wanna do this, if you got the items you want, you could just tell Jane what they are and the town could order them, and then we wouldn't have to, then we could just bill the town directly to do that, and we have a tax exempt account, so that would save some money also. But I think Hunter, in his prior employment, I think that the city has an account with Lenny's and some other towns do as well to get, they have a voucher system that they use there, so if the town has an account, then we would just provide the employee with a voucher form, good for up to a certain amount, and then they go down and order they would get their, clothes, boots, whatever, and then they would invoice the town directly for those. There is a municipal discount eventually, but doesn't take effect until you've been a customer for more than a year. So I don't know how much that is, but, and so that's one thing we discussed, but then while we were talking about it, Hunter mentioned that it might be worthwhile for the town, not just for the employee benefit, but for certain materials, things like that, to have an account with Tractor Supply, now that we have one in both Salem and Enosburg. And anyway, once I got look into that, they don't offer a traditional business charge account. What they offer is a business credit card, which is through Citibank. But it would essentially work the same way. The town would be able to, basically, they would issue us a card. If somebody was going to buy things for the town, they'd have to bring the card with them and use it, and then the town would be invoiced afterward. But I'd have to make a credit application on behalf of the town to do that. And that's why I wanted to bring that to your attention in case I figured that's not something I can do on my own initiative.
Does the town have a credit card?
We have a debit card currently that's associated with our People's Trust account, and the clerk does use those for certain incidental payments like postage, stuff like that.
Right,
But
You go to Tractor Supply and buy something with a debit card?
Again, I think the clerk would be the person. In theory, we could, if the select board authorized other people to use it, then yes, we could just do that, yes. But that would be a direct debit as opposed to a credit, and then we send the invoice later and you guys review it.
I see.
Yeah, that's the, there is the other way we could do the same thing is that there is a way to sign up with a tax exempt account to use their website to make payment, but we'd still have to provide debit card or some other way of paying up front to do that. We would get our tax exempt advantage, but it wouldn't be the same as somebody going down to the store and getting something, so. I'm not sure how much we would, it's just a theoretical idea, but they do have a lot of things down there that the highway department might need in terms of nuts and bolts and stuff, and they are open at sometimes that the other stores aren't, but,
That's true.
yeah. And as I said, they are an alternative source for some of the clothing things that the boot allowance that the employees might use, so. The other thing is that, just the other day, I stopped by and the uniform, Cintas had just had a salesman there with a uniform, proposal, which Hunter said it depends on what specific clothing that they pick, but he said he said if it's as good a deal as they were pitching to us, he said it's kind of a no-brainer, so, and I just said, as long as you all want to use a uniform service, I said the town used to have that, and then we had certain employees who didn't want to wear the uniforms, so then we got away from doing it because there's no sense in paying 2 bills instead of, so they, again, I don't know that they, Seth was gone on Friday, so they wanted to talk about it with him, and they needed to get back in touch with the salesman to see, like, okay, if we want these particular, pieces of clothing, does that mean, what's the rate for that? Because they quoted them a rate, but it might have been just for the absolute basics of what they provide, so. But they were happy with they don't all enjoy wearing the same type of clothing, so, but they had a lot of different options and they seemed to be happy with what was available, so. And I said, well, the plus side of having a uniform service is that they do your laundry, so that's obviously something that they're doing now that we're not paying them to do necessarily, but, anyway, so, we've had several different discussions about uniform policy, and just this credit situation came up as a part of that, so. I thought I'd bring that issue to you because I think that's something that I need to hear from you before I go ahead and do something.
How much would they use that? I mean, just for uniform stuff, or do you think they'd use it for other stuff?
In theory, I think they would use it for other stuff, obviously, everybody's familiar with that store, they have a fair amount of different hardware and stuff that we might need on short notice. I don't think it'd be anything we'd be ordering necessarily, but, like, in the way that.
There's a bunch of Sprayer. They have quite an assortment of pumps and sprayers for, application of brine or chloride or that kind of stuff, and that might be,
Yeah.
but I don't know, maybe exactly what the policy would be there on a credit card that was to that store, and I don't know. We'll have to discuss
I
that.
could certainly get the information from them in application and bring it to the
Yeah.
next meeting and see what you guys say about it.
Okay.
Review how much you guys think we could.
Or,
I can talk with Hunter about how much we think we might actually use that. It's just that,
it's there.
yeah. And unfortunately, those are the only terms they seem to offer is you have to make an application with a big national, they're a big national firm, so that's why they do it that way,
Yeah.
so.
Or we just get a credit card, a Visa or whatever for the town to use.
Right. In which case, we probably
Which would
should.
work.
Yeah,
Which
it's
would work
It's the
everywhere.
credit card you'd have to get from them. Any better
It only,
deal than,
as far as I know, it would only be for use at that store, it doesn't go to other. They have a couple different options, they have one credit card that is like just establishing a credit account with them and you use it at the store. And they do have a special, as far as I can tell, they're at least pitching a special product that's just for governments and schools, but they also have credit cards that they offer that are like a general credit card that you can use at other places. And I guess I don't have information about how good or bad that is as a credit card, general credit card, but I can get that information for you.
From answer.
What's that, Rick?
That credit law, I took a look at that just for giggles, I guess, and their interest rate's like 30%.
Right.
It's nothing that you'd wanna do, but I mean, obviously the town pays the bills monthly, so there shouldn't be an issue anyway, but yeah, just throwing that out there.
Okay.
I would, yeah. From time to time, it'd be good, it would be helpful to have a credit card for the town. And the treasurer would control it. So,
Just the ability that they're authorized if the road crew needs to go make a purchase to come up here and grab the car,
Right.
make the purchase and bring it back. And
yeah.
well, would it be, or would it be better to have the highway department have the credit card? I mean, if they have a breakdown on Sunday and need a part,
Right.
I mean, Napa's not open anymore on Sundays,
No.
so, I mean, where do you go if you got? I
Right.
don't know if they'd have, as far as like get into the hydraulic hoses and stuff, but if they
Just,
had,
Yeah, oil.
nuts, bolts, oil or something they needed in case of emergency and the clerk's closed,
Well, they can
or
call-
if they're out at,
They can call you,
6
Steve.
o'clock.
They can call you, Steve, and use your credit card.
Help them out
There is a re-
in a pinch, but,
reimbursed too, yeah, but I think
yeah,
if we were gonna do something like that, then we'd have to take a look at our purchasing policy and make sure
yeah,
that.
oh, yeah, definitely.
And,
They'd have to
that
put
is-
some limits on that, but,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, these guys are working hours that the clerk's not open.
right.
If it's
They're open.
36 o'clock and they're gonna have to go out and plow snow and they need something,
Something
you know,
breaks. Something odd, you never
or
know.
something, something that they can control.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll have the details for you at the next
Okay,
meeting.
that
then.
sounds good.
Okay, alright.
You wanna give us your report?
Sure,
We'll
sure.
start
I'm just gonna-
with this.
Yeah. So, you had asked me to review, we talked about, excuse me, first of all, I forgot, we did get a report from the sheriff here of the last month's activities, so we can review that. And, Nick, I'll share an email with you of that, I'm sorry I hadn't sent that before. You had asked me before about, we discussed reclassifying the Swamp Road, to a class 3.
Yep,
And I looked into that and unfortunately, it looks like you have to use the same procedure as if you were gonna throw up a road, even though if you wanna do that. So we'll have to have to set a time for, a date for a site visit out there and a hearing. We'd have to notify all the
People on the road.
landowners along there, and it has to be at least 30 days before. We have to send them notice at least 30 days before. We also have to notify the planning commission and publish notice in the newspaper. Then you would conduct the site visit and have a public hearing. And you'd be assessing whether the public good, necessity, and convenience of the inhabitants would require you to take action And I suppose if you needed to vary where the road goes, you might have to determine whether compensation is necessary to any of the landowners down there. Well, in this case, if you were to establish a permanent turnaround, you'd kind of be reclassifying and altering the highway a bit, because you'd be, to make room for that turnaround, you'd have to take a little bit of land to do that. You want to survey and mark boundaries if the highway is being laid out or altered, or if the right of way can't be determined. And you provide notice to abutting landowners of your decision, or excuse me. Yeah, it needs to be noticed to the abutting landowners by certified mail before the survey is filed with the clerk. Then you do a written report this is all, this whole process can be initiated by petition. We're kind of skipping that part, but if there had been a petition filed, you need to issue a written order or decision within 60 days of the site visit, and including the action to be taken out, a written description of the highway, or refer to the survey. Identify the affected landowners and how you notified them, and the amount of compensation be paid, or deadline by which obstacles must be removed. And then we need to file the materials with the town clerk for recording, and send notice of change and copy of proceedings to the agency of transportation. In theory, someone could appeal that and to Superior Court. So in theory, there could be court action afterward, and then you'd have to pay compensation, if any, or the appeal compensation, if any. And then you could proceed to the road work or designation or discontinuance, if that's what you were doing. And that would include the designation as a trail, which I think we had discussed, possibly designating the rest of the land, of the point beyond where we're planning to now as a trail. That could be done at that time.
So it sounds like a job for Bernard and Jarvis.
Yeah, I think there might be a
Actually,
potential.
No, I think it's an established road, right?
I don't think that you need to necessarily resurvey where the road goes to.
But if you do, and then you go down there and establish a turnaround, and if it needed to be,
Yeah, that part of it.
Right.
you know, they go up there and shoot the road down through, and then they would take care of all the notices and so on and so forth, and then they'd be there at the hearing.
Well, I think the first thing we need just to initiate that, get that hearing notice out and stuff, and we'll have that first hearing. And
So I guess the first thing to do is to set a time and date for when you'd like to do a site visit and hearing, I guess, and then knowing, obviously that'd have to be at least 30 days from now, which would make it after Christmas, so.
Or
Right.
start that in the spring.
yeah.
We can plow the road regardless.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just we'd have to,
The site visits.
the highway certificate will be, the state will send to us in February, and we usually send it back to them within a couple months, but we could probably wait to, I can't remember exactly when that is due back, but
Not gonna make it
we
long.
could also just amend it afterward, after the fact.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah.
Depends on the weather, whether you wanna go up there and do a site visit. If you get
Yeah, that's always tough for
a pile of snow, it's one thing, but if it's open,
and just make a note of it so that we get it on the books there for spring.
okay.
I just still think that if you get down there and have to create a new turnaround, or create the turnaround, there might be some taking, and it might be, measure that out so
Yep.
that everyone understands it. And if, yeah,
On that same general topic, not that, there's no, great rush to do this or anything, but there are, I think I pointed this out before, that there are some other, highways that we could review for kind of the same reason, either, so just for example, Severance Road and Casino Road, if you look at the town highway map, those are technically a through road right now. Between Betty Severance's and the rail trail, the town currently classifies that as a class 4 highway. Now, there's no way to even get through there right now, and I also don't know that, and also all of that land's in the floodplain, so there's no potential there for any real development to happen, other than it being used for what it is right now. So there is arguably the town could decide to throw up that road between or turn it into a trail, but what you have essentially now is 2 class 3 roads that more or less dead end, but there's no established turnaround for either of them. So, and so that's just one example of a similar road where we have a similar kind of problem, I guess. Obviously we are on and turning around now, but the town's, and I think the town could continue to do that indefinitely with the cooperation of the landowners nearby, but in theory, you could have an uncooperative landowner and the town wouldn't really have, legal permission to turn around there. And there are a number of other town roads that have always been dead end roads, for example, the Poor Farm Road or Maple Glen but they don't have established turnarounds on them either. So, again, I don't think this is a pressing issue, but somewhere down the line, there are some roads that we probably could discontinue, reclassify, or establish turnarounds on, and that would probably be in the best interest of the town in the long run, but I don't know that it's pressing at this time, but.
What did they figure out down on the end of the Cook Road there?
I haven't, I know they've talked about it, I have not heard anything definitive about what we're gonna do there. Unfortunately, Highgate is having some turnover on their road crew. The foreman out there has decided to get done with the town, so it's we kinda don't have a dancing partner right now. So I'm not sure what we've established doing in the meantime. I just talked with Hunter about that, but I didn't ask him what we were doing.
Yeah.
I can find that out for you. So,
Yeah, I was just curious.
yeah.
They can figure it out.
Anyway, I would draw your attention to the water and sewer delinquency payment report there. That's just to let you know I think we've sort of had an unofficial policy of not issuing shut-off notices in the winter. That's not an official policy, but just.
More than normal?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. We've highlighted the ones that have more than 30 days delinquent, or excuse me, they're all more than 30 days delinquent, but anybody that's over that, we have highlighted for you. It's a lot of
The 2 quarters.
yeah, and the only thing if we were to initiate any shut-off action, that would require sending out certified mail and all that, so.
Yeah.
I do think if and when we get around to reviewing the water rates and regulations, I think we could be a little bit more specific about laying out the process for it's fairly clear, but I think it could be a little bit better in terms of the how we are dealing with, people who have not paid their bills, and, I think that Jane would like it to be more, regular, how we're doing this. And that also brings up that the delinquent tax collectors report, I think a number of people have made some payments just this week, but, at the very end of that, there's a letter that Jane has sent out with, excuse me, she sent out a notice to people that they're delinquent now, and that has included an application for if they wanted to abate their taxes for some reason. In theory, we should probably be, or we could issue something like that to the delinquent water bills as well, because that should, by law, should be also addressed by the Board of Abatement rather than the Water Commission. So if somebody wanted to abate their water bill, they should take that up with the Board of Abatement rather than the Select Board. I know there have been some instances where, you know, a lot of people said that the meter was broken or something like that, and that's been brought to the Water Commission's attention, but technically that should be dealt with by the Board of Abatement, so the BCA. So again, that process is by state law, but there's not really a reference to it in our current water ordinance or regulations, so.
It says here, you notice of appeal to the chairman of the select board.
That's for shutting off the water, not for abating your bill. Yeah. Yeah. So right now, our ordinance and regulations talk a lot about shut off action, which is your prerogative as the water
I
commission.
mean, the town, the select board has abated the bills before.
Correct, that appears to be the process that we used in the past, but by state law, that is a matter for the Board of Abatement.
Well,
That was
There you
news
go.
to me as well, but.
okay,
So, again, it's just something to correct when we revisit the water and sewer rates, I think. We can take some action on that as well.
just, yeah, raise the rates. Turn the water off, people will pay.
Another thing on the water and sewer is that, I think, we received I think by next year, if I recall correctly, the town is supposed to have a plan in place for, excuse me, let me back up a second. So in the last few years, the state has made a big effort to have water systems identify places where there may be lead in the pipes. So last year we hired Weston and Sampson to help with us in terms of creating an inventory of all the water pipe materials that we have in the town. In general, all of the water pipes that the town has installed do not contain lead or are known to be of good materials there, but there are some of the old water systems that the mill put in when they owned the system where it may be galvanized pipe, which is not favored by the state in terms of where the metal content's unknown, basically. So last year, having done that inventory, we sent notice to all the customers who had a service line that was of unknown materials or possibly galvanized material. Now the state wants us to, I think as of, I believe next year, I'll have to consult my email here, but in the next year, we're supposed to be adopting a plan for how we're gonna deal with any pipes that we have that are in this inventory. which are probably something we,
So you're talking like service lines
Correct.
from the main into the house?
I'm not sure. I think it has to do with mains as well as service lines, but in this particular case, yes, we're talking about service lines.
Yeah, service,
Right. So,
from the shut off, from the main line into the home.
yes, well, the inventory covers both the main lines and the service lines, but yes, it's yes. And it's not that the town has to necessarily take action on this, but we need to let the state know that we have a plan to do something about it in the long run.
And you said you tested it last summer?
I don't know that they were tested. Basically, Weston and Sampson worked with Hubert to go through all the lines and he said, okay, this one's black plastic, this one
Yeah,
iron, we put that one in this time.
yeah,
It's this material, but there were some service lines that he's never dug up and never
Yeah.
seen, that he didn't know. He said,
Yeah.
well, I don't know, that could be galvanized, I'm not sure what it is, so.
okay.
So. Anyway, just to let you know that that is something that we will, I think the town will have to be working on. I think the town should probably adopt a budget for both the water and sewer departments and
Yeah.
as a long term, this is kind of all in fitting with the same idea as the municipal planning grant, have an asset management idea about all these things. The other thing is that we probably need to relocate those water service lines in certain places because, for example, we talked about on School Street, there are some addresses now that they have built porches over where the shut off is, for example, so.
Yeah,
Updating the water service will also help the top town with some of its problems as well as, plus they're also, we're talking about infrastructure that's over 100 years old now, so.
Yeah.
digging,
So,
put a different service, dig it up, put a valve out further, closer or whatever. And not under the porch.
Yeah, to go around the porch, get in there.
well,
I don't know.
on School Street, for example, the road used to go around
Yeah.
the park, so there's
Yeah.
two water lines. It really doesn't need to be two, it could be one right down the middle of the road with
Yeah,
the lines feeding into it, so.
let's not open that can of worms there.
Anyway, the town should have a plan for those, addressing that in the long run, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
No.
very good.
I'll read the meeting minutes here. Town Sheldon Selectboard Water Commissioner regular meeting from November 10th. Held here at the town office at 7:30. In attendance from the select board is Maria Davison, Stephen Dodd, Richard Piazzi, and Greg Stebbins. Others here were Matt Stebbins, the town administrator, and Jerry Vasey from Northwest Access TV. 7:35, I called the meeting to order and read the agenda. 7:37, Matt Stebbins reported on his recent discussion of the personnel policy with town employees. Employees were open to moving to a combined paid time off system and would prefer to return to having 2 personal days. 7:58, the board reviewed the Bridge 11 scoping report received from the Agency of Transportation. State presented 4 alternative options for the bridge, with the preferred option being replacement of the bridge with a realigned single span design. Replacement would have an expected lifespan of 75 years as opposed to 40 years for rehabilitation options. Town share of the expense varies according to whether detour is used during construction. Bridge project is currently scheduled for 2030. The select board selected a date to propose V-Trans. Selected a date to propose to V-Trans for an alternatives presentation meeting. 8:03, I read the minutes from October 27th meeting, and the board signed warrants 2540 and 31708. Rick Piasny moved to adopt the minutes as read, seconded by Greg, and the motion carried. 8:30, Matt Stebbins delivered the town administrator's report. The guardrail on the Kane Road Bridge needs to be repaired. Contractor was hired to jet drainage system of the town garage. Matt provided details of the scoping study. Meeting held on November 4th. 8:46, Matt Stebbins gave an update on the telecom upgrades. For now, the town will proceed with only upgrading the internet at the town garage and sewer plants. Changes to the phone system will be delayed to next year. 8:55, Rick moved to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Greg, and the motion carried. Next regular meeting is Monday, November 24th at 7:30. Take a motion to accept these minutes as read.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
All right, second on that.
Second.
All in favor?
Alright.
Opposed?
Greg, do you want to see that?
Just went on mute, yeah. All good.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, and this is the Town of Sheldon Selectboard Water Commissioner special meeting minutes from November 12th, is that right?
Oh, it should be 20th, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's right. November 20th of 2025. Held here at the town office at 12:30 p.m. In attendance from the select board is Maria Davison, Stephen Dodd, Nick Norris, Richard Piasny. Others here are Raymond Bushy from the Sheldon Fire Department, Amanda Forbes, town consultant, and Jane Lanza, the town clerk and treasurer, and Matt Stebbins, the town administrator. 12:50, Rick Piasny called the meeting to order and read the agenda. Only business is discussion of the 2026 municipal budget. 12:51, Raymond Bushy presented the Sheldon Fire Department's 2026 budget request. The department is requesting a 3.11% increase in line with inflation as calculated by the New England Consumer Price Index. The stipend for fire personnel remains at $20,000. Raymond provided details on the radio expenses for this year. Select board had questions about the line items that were not fully expended, such as phone expenses and lawn care. Potential building repair projects were also discussed. 126, the board reviewed general expenses and municipal office expenses for the 2026 general fund budget. The board will consider having voters review the hourly rate for part-time help. The issue of printing and distributing the town report was discussed. The board reviewed the computer upgrades made this year as well as those planned for next year. Matt Stebbins reported that the town's attorney's hourly fee will be increasing. 3:07, Nick moved to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Rick, and the motion carried. Next budget meeting is on Thursday, December 18th at 12:30 here at the town office. Take a motion to accept these minutes as read.
Make a motion.
Second on that.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to note that, we have scheduled that, V-Trans meeting for December 11th at 12:30 p.m. That's a Thursday as well.
December 11th at 12:30.
I believe V-Trans has sent letters out to any of the abutting landowners. Let them know about it as well.
Pretty good, yeah, pretty good report, huh?
Mm-hmm.
A little more detailed report than I've seen previously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a couple of grants to look at.
Right, so these are, one of these is a grant that we've, well, both of these, they're not grants that we received, but one is an agreement with, Northwest Regional Planning for doing the Better Roads, grant that we applied for last year. So they actually did some of this work already this summer, and they'll be completing it in the spring. This is that road erosion inventory, that needs to be completed by the end of 2027. And, anyway, I had discussed it with them, and they, between, myself and Bethany, the agreement was never sent over, so I'm asking you to approve that. It's basically using the grant funds to pay NRPC as a consultant.
$7,100 not to exceed. To begin July 1st, 2025 and end September 30th of 2026.
I think that they'll be done well before that, but, is it?
Sometime in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on when I guess it all depends on when they get out in the field next year and what order we're in with the other towns that they're doing.
This is where they look at culverts that are too small and
Right, and then
they just did that, how many years ago was that?
the first one was done in 2017, so it was, but it needs to be done again by 2027, and as we've done,
We've been here too long, I thought it was just a few years.
but
Well, I remember Andrew going around and doing it.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
well, they've done it since then.
Drove around and measured all the culverts, and got all the inventory of the culverts there.
Yeah,
Andrew and, I wanna say that. Nobody needs a lot.
alright. I would take a motion to accept this
Sure.
agreement.
Yep.
I'll second.
Alright, all in favor?
Right.
I wanna say Susan rode around with it. And Andrew went down, one was driving, and I wanna say they were doing the 911 numbers simultaneously.
Yeah.
Sort of, they were doing a couple things at the same time. And some of it was a culvert inventory. It was after the first time FEMA showed up. Right after the Montgomery, it was right after the Montgomery flooding.
98, 99.
Yeah, somewhere in there. And FEMA came to the boardroom and we went over a lot of things with FEMA.
This, the other grant agreement is for the grants and aid program for next year. We sent in our letter of intent in May, but this is to approve the grant. So this is for doing the work on that. And basically, we do the inventory and then that identifies which culverts need to be upsized or ditches need to be done, et cetera. And then the state provides us with funds to do that through this grant program. This will be for these will need to be completed by next September. I believe it's for $20,000.
$20,000 grant with $5,000 match.
Go out and find a culvert. First you gotta find a culvert. Shouldn't be too hard, I know there's a couple of them there.
At this point, we've subsidized most of them, but I think
They're,
there's a few on the Mooring Road that need to be done, and then there's a few.
There was a few last time they said were too short, and
Yeah.
so the banks are too steep.
Right.
One of them was down there, on the Sheldon Road there by, right before Canes there. Alfred's ditch, in that brook.
Really?
Moral brook.
really?
That one was too short.
Told us it was too short.
If I remember right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big culvert.
Yeah. Alright, I'll take a motion to accept this grant agreement.
Make a motion.
Second.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Library trustee.
Yeah, so, I have been notified that, Olivia Domingue has resigned her position on the library trustees board. I think she had some trouble getting to meetings, this year, so, she has resigned, and the library, the trustees are recommending that you appoint Jessica Draper to replace her until, town meeting of
You can't
next
just
year.
wait till town meeting.
You could wait for it to be, you could wait for until town meeting, but
Wants to be on there?
in theory, this,
I'll nominate her.
Yeah.
so it would be just fill in vacancy until March, and then I think Olivia's term was running out in 2028. So we'll have a 5-year seat and a 2-year seat, with the election in March.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure, I'll nominate her.
Second.
Replace that
Alright.
vacancy, that way there.
Nomination and a second for Jessica Draper
Yeah,
to fill the seat for library trustee. All in favor?
Aye.
yeah, fine. Dad would say you don't need the second nomination.
No, that's true.
He queued me up, he looked over here, somebody else.
I know.
Well,
I thought,
I figure everybody's in agreement.
That's
If I can
right.
get one of you to nominate, one to second it.
yeah.
Alright, what you got on, the Bridge Street
So,
Historical Society?
Yeah,
ground?
so I have I printed this back in February, but anyway, they have updated. I had been apprised of this situation, but I wasn't sure why it was initiated, or I didn't really know much about it, so, anyway, Greta Brunswick got in touch with me, we had a meeting last week about this, so, the town acquired the property down at Bridge Street, down the Historical Society, and, and then, I don't know, at the behest of this, I don't know at whose behest, obviously the Historical Society wanted to remove the old gas tanks that were there, it was a gas station,
Yeah.
and that triggered a brownfields investigation. They took the tanks out, there really wasn't anything wrong with where the tanks were, but when they looked around the whole property, they found, mostly lead, I guess, but other heavy metal residue that was left over from the fire that happened in 1932 that took out the bridge and all that area out there. So the site is a brownfields area because of that, those lead deposits essentially. And now there's they did one study, they established the monitoring wells, et cetera, and now they've gone back, last year they went back and did more testing. and, sorry, I got my notes for the meeting here. There is some sampling that still needs to be done, that hasn't been done. I'm not sure they couldn't get it done for some reason, but, Greta's following up about when they're gonna do that, but I guess the question here is about so now the question is moving on to, after you've done the study of it, you're supposed to adopt a corrective action plan for how to deal with the brownfield area. And there are, as a result of this study, they proposed 3 or 4 alternatives for what to do. And there are supposed to be cost estimates associated with all of them, but I think only the least invasive one has a cost estimate right now. But again, there's more information forthcoming. But so the minimal, there is the you could do nothing option, then and then there is abating, the most extensive thing would be to abate the whole property, which would involve excavating about 18 inches of material off the whole property, and then putting down some sort of protective barrier and refilling it with new material, and you'd have to dispose of the material properly, et cetera, et cetera. And then the option that they're recommending in this study is to only do about 45 feet out from the building, removing that, and then having a plant, and then fencing people out of the rest of the area, so to speak. So basically, you create a 45-foot area around the building that's been abated, and then you put up some sort of warning or something that the area further out is a brownfields area, and you're supposed to try to restrict access to that property. So those are the things being recommended. Now even that 45-foot plan was, I don't have the exact figure here, but seriously, I do. That was quoted at $109,000 to do that remediation. Of course, it would involve having engineering done because they have to treat their, it's all about runoff going into the Black Creek.
That's an engineer's estimate.
Correct, yeah, or that's what's being estimated in this study report.
Oh.
I don't know if that's being done by an engineer or not, but an engineer would be involved in creating the plan for actually doing this. There's funding available to do this from the state. However, it would appear that the town is not eligible to receive that funding because the town acquired this property without having brownfield testing done before they acquired it. And that's my understanding of it. Is so, because now they do think that the Historical Society might be eligible for the funds if they were owners of the property.
Oh my.
So, this is the first time I'd heard that idea proposed, and I said, I'm not sure if the Historical Society is ready to own this property or has even thought about doing that. I mentioned it to them, but I'm not. I also said I didn't know I asked Greta if she could investigate or if we should investigate if there's a situation where the town could possibly co-own the building with the Historical Society in the sort of the way that we do with the fire department. If that would meet the eligibility for them having funding or not.
You mean if they own the land and we own the building?
Well, or if they own like a 50% share of the property in total, so.
Town owns this fire station. We got through that. We haven't signed that deed over, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Right, bone there, yeah.
All right, however you.
So,
Or, sorry, I know that was the original proposal, I guess I shouldn't,
Okay, so,
Anyway, there is nothing that the town needs to do immediately here, I'm just letting you know that the results of that
So what happens if they do nothing? We put a fence around it.
There isn't one now.
Still use the building? No, I don't, but
I think they could still use the building, yes, it's just that the grounds around it would be.
Seed it down to bamboo.
The, and, well, and I told Greta as well, I said, well, the other thing is that there's a couple of reasons why the town might not wanna take action on this immediately, besides the fact that we don't have money ready to go for this sort of project. But if the state comes along and builds us a new bridge in 5 years, then that's obviously gonna affect that property there as well, so,
Well, they may want,
right.
they're gonna want access to that whole area there to,
Right,
for staging,
Right.
material, dropping this, maybe they'll clean it up.
Yeah, that's, well, I'm not sure if I was gonna go that far, but I was thinking that there's no sense in the town spending a lot of money down there if the state's just gonna come in and
And then who,
drive over it.
where did that report come from?
So NRPC was involved, this was done by KAS, Environmental Science and Engineering, out of
Okay.
Williston, but it was prepared for the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. And I
Thanks a lot.
don't know.
Wow, so,
I think this whole thing was triggered by the removal of the
yeah,
yeah.
gas tanks down
So-
there. Yeah.
that's, huh. And
So
what-
I could certainly invite Greta to come to one of your meetings and explain this to you, or go over it with you as well, or.
I think in the beginning, they
Yeah.
were thinking we might be able to get away with just putting, not removing what's there, or just putting,
Cover it up.
covering it up with
New material.
18 inches of soil there.
That's what I had talked with Andy Crane about this, and that's what I was under the impression we could do that as well, but the options that I was shown now involve digging out and replacing the topsoil, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the
I don't
difference is.
see what the point of stirring it up is, you know.
Yeah. So I guess the only, the town could postpone indefinitely doing anything, it just means that obviously the historical society would like to enjoy the benefits of using the whole site.
Right, but we also
Also,
could,
do they have a use for it? That's what I'm getting at. I mean,
Yeah.
do they have something they'd like to use that for, or is that,
well, it's-
or is it?
it's kind of a nice little spot. It'd be nice if, if it was at least trimmed up a little bit, cleaned up and.
Yeah, there would need to be, they would like to have access to they've put that, when they put the addition on, there is some storage underneath there in the back, so
Yeah.
obviously they'd like to get in there, and then
Yeah.
the next phase of the building, if they get around to it, would be, once the second floor is done, is that they'd like to go down into the basement and see what's possible with refurbishing all that.
Tidy that up.
Right, and then in theory, they would use that part of the building as well, which I'm not sure how much of the site down there they really need to get to, but I think that they would like to be able to host events, out on that green space that's there now.
Sure.
But do they absolutely have to? I don't know. I haven't discussed this with them.
I would assume there that it would be fine for the historical society members to go around the building there, but not necessarily have it open to the public.
Correct, yes.
And now,
Yeah,
and then also, we could there could be another opinion as to what could be done there.
right,
There could be another opinion there.
and the other, I think I talked with Greta about this, I said that, well, I'm sure there's some parts of this project that, you'd have to have, it's supposed to be done, according to engineer specifications, et cetera, but I said, the town has equipment to dig dirt with and move it. I said, there's some parts of this that I think we could probably do ourselves if we had the right training,
Biggest expense would be getting rid of that dirt.
Right, yeah.
Bring in the
You
code.
can't just Yeah,
Right.
you can't just,
Yeah, just fill the hole in with it, you know.
dump it
Who
on.
knows,
Right.
right?
So anyway, I said, you know, given enough time, maybe somebody on our staff could learn, you know, be trained in how to deal with this and we can reduce costs doing that, you know. But I said, it's really a question of what does the town or the historical society wanna do with that site? And then what do we wanna do in terms of if,
People that were living there before, they, you know, when it was rented out, one another had a garden down there.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was just a garden, it was a big garden next to the creek here, so, I mean, it can't be, whatever, so. And what year did you say the bridge,
1932.
yeah, 32, and then of course there's the history of the old creamery there.
Right, and so, there
Yeah,
were a number of businesses down there.
yeah, so,
But I would be curious
About
about,
through everything out the back door.
huh?
so I would be
Yeah,
curious
it was a
about,
dump as well, so.
if they choose the land,
Yeah.
and we sell them the land, they have to get the Brownsfield testing to get the funding, but the town still owns the building. Where all the repairs are that we help fund,
Yeah.
that could be the way to facilitate it if that, no other solutions are proposed.
Yeah, that
I'd
was
like-
sort of my idea was that, I don't know that the historic, I mean, the town's really not paying many, now that the building's been paid off, I think we pay for the insurance, which is,
And some
Not
improvements here
huge.
and there.
it's not a huge amount of money, but I also don't know that the historical society is ready to take that on either. And there are other reasons the town might wanna keep that,
Well, before-
building for other, you know.
Before we make any decisions on that brownfield thing, I think we should get a different opinion. Or hear a little bit more about it, and
Okay.
what the options are, if there's, yeah. Do nothing, 18, yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the contamination there? Is it like off the chart, or is it just, you know? But we can do that in some other time.
So the alternative one is to do no action. Alternative two is excavation and offsite disposal of all the contaminated material. Alternative three is excavation and disposal of 18 inches of soil within the existing green space, followed by the installation of a clean soil cap and use of an existing vegetation as a barrier to remaining contamination. And alternative four is excavation of just the 45 feet around the building and installation of engineered and physical barriers to restrict access to the remaining contamination. Yeah. I'm trying to see where in here, it's in here somewhere that the detail what the exact findings were, but
I see.
yeah. So, it's really just one, so there are a number of ground wells that they, monitoring wells that they said, and there's really just one that has, lead reported above the groundwater enforcement standards. But lead was also reported in 3 other wells that were below but in concentrations below the groundwater enforcement standards. There were no VOCs detected above laboratory limits except for in the same, in one well, there was acetone reported at levels below the standards, so. I think the issue is that there's one well where it's over the amount, but the problem is that the groundwater tends to headed toward the creeks, and that's part of why the concern is here, so. I said I would let you guys know the report, the findings here. We would also we need to follow up with the Historical Society about what they wanna do. I also asked Greta to follow up with, ask them about this legal question about, is there some way that does the town literally have to cede all interest in it in order to have the another entity with so-called clean hands come in and be able to get the funding for it, or is there a way that we can, it also, I guess the other thing we could do is sell it to them for 5 years and they get the funding and they clean it up and then they sell it back to the town. That would be another alternative, sounds kind of silly to me.
Does it say in that report how many square feet that is?
The whole site?
Or no, square footage on the 45 feet?
I have a map of it, but.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's where you have to get the yardage and.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how much is left over that needs to be fenced off? Fence to keep people 5 feet away.
Right, I just question the whole thing in some regards, you know, because is that the right thing to do? You know, dig it up or just cover it up? I mean, what are they gonna do? They're gonna take that soil out, bring it to Coventry, bury it up there? Why don't you just leave it right there? And then cap it.
Yep.
That would be,
Smart.
I mean,
That isn't always how it works.
it's been in the ground there since 37, so let's just stir it up and bring it up to. I don't think that's that green carbon footprint's gonna go up on that place, don't you think?
I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't know. Question the wisdom of that strategy. It's like,
Here, I don't have it in this map, but,
it sounds like we need to debate it.
yeah, well, again, I think there's more information that needs to be gotten in terms of what is legally possible as well as what the Historical Society and the town want to do.
Yeah.
But looking at it here, this is the whole, I believe this is the town also owns this land back here, but they were just evaluating the lot that came with the building, and I think that ends right about here. I think that's the whole lot. The 45 feet would be somewhere around like, something like this, around here, so there's quite a bit more area that would need to be cleaned up, but. And again, when we had the meeting, we didn't have the complete figures on how much it would cost to do all, and that's just, as you said, that's just one engineer's estimate.
Right.
So,
Nick, you didn't sign one of these.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Anything else we need to cover?
I was gonna ask,
yeah,
now that we're doing the budget meetings,
Mhm.
is now the time to talk to whoever does the formatting of the book to see if we can make it a little bit more easy to read, easy to digest for town meeting this year? Not sure when the exact time, to approach that is, but I know we've received comments for the last couple of years about, the book just isn't easy for,
Yeah,
people to follow along, but.
Jane and I have talked about that, and I actually have Amanda and I sat down one day and I kind of reorganized I took the current codes that we have right now and I just reorganized them so that they're a little bit more kind of, we put all the building things together, we put all the insurance things together, we put all the payroll things together, and just so it's a little easier like that. But the other thing that Jane and I have talked about, and I was just going back to some of the ways that the book used to be reported. It used to be the budget was really just a summary of all, it would be as if we just took, the town clerk's salary and didn't include all the subcategories in it. And the budget kind of fit on one page, so that you had, you know, fire department, Lister, you know, you had all the main bold categories would be what you saw, and for the roads, it would be, you know, equipment, garage, general expense. You know, you'd have 4 or 5 line items for each of those. And then, so that would be your budget proposal, would be just one page. And we would include, I think I'd like to, again, do this, what I ended up doing for the meeting, but it didn't get put in the report, was a narrative going over the budget, like where things were adjusted, saying, okay, this year we're gonna, for this year's budget, I explained like, oh, we need to do tax mapping, so we've got added costs for doing that over 2 years. We spent more than we needed on this, so we're gonna do that. The town highway department took over the mowing, so we took the money out of the Parks and Rec to do that. So there would be a narrative that went along with the budget. But then in terms of reporting what the town actually spent this year, what the town used to do is it would report, the highway thing would all be in a highway report, and it would say, you know, truck expenses, but then it would list, you know, it would, for the 2020, the truck that just came back from Allegiant, it would show
Repairs.
where it went to and how much money we spent. So it would say Valancourt repairs, this much money, Allegiant, this much money. It would show, you know, it wouldn't show every single receipt, but it would show the like 5 or 6 vendors that got paid that amount. And that was, and everything, all the roads went into, you know, there was a highway fund report, there was a page that just showed the, you know, salaries, and then it got into the town hall expenses, and same thing where it would list, you know, where the money went for each of those things. And that was, so you didn't get all the detail in the budget, but you got it in terms of what money was spent on this year. So that's an option. The other thing is, if we end up not printing the book in the long run, or we're not printing all of the book, all of this detail is available to people if they ask for it. Most people aren't gonna ask for it, but we could. Anyway, so I have a way that I could see the budget being reorganized somewhat using the categories we already have. You get into a debate there with, like, we could redo the budget entirely and come up with new cost codes and all that stuff, but then it's hard to compare 10 years ago to now without keeping the things the way they are.
I just didn't know, like I said, I know it's been something for a few years, people have mentioned that the book is not easy for them to follow along or digest information, so I don't know if, you know, now planning was a time to try something new or incremental change that keep tweaking it.
The other thing is, Jane and I we just got a questionnaire from the auditing firm to get ready for the audit in January, and she and I have been going through that together in terms of what policies we have in place. And one thing that I have been working on is assembling some semblance of an overall inventory of what the town has for assets. Mostly been using what VLCT's given us for our property values and contents of various buildings, et cetera. But that is, I think, a big part of the disconnect between looking at the audit and looking at the budget, is that the audit includes all the pavement in town, the trucks, the current value of all the assets of the town, and the budget just includes the flows for this year, kind of. And I think there's a disconnect when people are looking at the auditing firm numbers and then looking at our budget and trying to make sense of the two together. So we're we're gonna come up with a perfect one-to-one match, but it'd be good for the town to have that in general, also so that when the auditors come and they ask me how many loads of sand are in the pile over there, I can give them a number.
Right. In the future, we can report on usage and that stuff.
Right, yeah.
Is it Is it a big ask to say, could you mock up a page or two of what you're thinking? So
Sure.
that at our next budget meeting, we can take a look and say, okay, this
Absolutely.
makes sense for people to know and go from there.
Yep. And this year, the LCT kind of brought back the town report contest, kind of. That I think the Secretary of State used to evaluate town reports and give people medals or, certificates for
So there's
that.
incentive there. too,
Right,
right?
and this year, the LCT kind of brought back that idea, and actually Maria went to the conference, Maria and Jane both went to the conference this year, but as coming out of that, they came up with a list of kind of
Recommendations.
good recommendations for a good report, so Jane and I both have that, and we're working on trying to include as many of those things as we can in our report, so that it's easier for people to
Follow along.
follow along. The biggest change that we have discussed, but it's up to you guys, I think Fairfield and some other towns still, one traditional way of sort of splitting up the highway, that we haven't done for a while. The way Sheldon has reported our highway things have tended to be class 2, class 3 maintenance, and then other things were kind of put into different categories. But the way I know that Sheldon used to do this, and I think Fairfield and a couple other towns still do it, is that there's a summer roads budget and there's a winter roads budget, and you would report those separately. So all your salt would go on your winter roads budget, and your chloride would go on your summer roads budget, and so that and it would make sense to a certain extent, because obviously we have 2 work schedules and you could even put the payroll together to know that, like, here's how much it costs to do winter maintenance, and here's how much it costs to do, when you reported it. I mean, that would be the major change. If I had one thing I would want to change about the way that we do the budgeting currently, is that, specifically on the highway, a lot of things get rolled into class 2 maintenance and class 3 maintenance. It's salt, dirt, rock, culverts, not culverts, but lots of different things get put into that. The roadside mowing gets put into that. If we do brush cutting, it gets put into that. So it's one big category that's got a lot of different things in it. And if somebody asks me, how much did we spend on salt last year? In the current budget, you can't really locate it unless, another reason why I'd like to at least report. It might say class 2 maintenance, but then under it, it'll say, Cargill for salt, and it would be this much money, so people will know what was spent on those categories. But it would be better, I feel like it might be better for budgeting purposes to have a budget individually for salt and rock, for stone and sand, so that we have a target we can set that internally. We probably should, in terms of, well, how much sand do we need next year? We need this many tons or whatever, but we could do that as a part of the budgeting process. We're like, here's your budget for sand, and here's your budget for salt. Right now, it's just your budget for class 2 roads and class 3 roads.
Yeah, but you need enough salt to keep the roads from icing up all winter.
Right.
You budget, you can't budget for $8,000 worth of salt and then have a lot of ice and
Right,
say,
no,
okay, well, you're not getting any more, you spent your budget.
Right.
Well,
Well,
that's,
yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, that's just, if I had one thing I would change, I would kind of itemize the highway budget a little bit more than it is. And I would probably de-itemize some of the other things in terms of.
But where you're trying to,
Yeah.
but you're also trying to make an easier budget, present a budget at town meeting on one page.
Right, make it simple, yeah.
The report can itemize all that stuff in some other pages. But the simple layout that we had 25 or 30 years ago, it was very simple and easy for people to see what the board was doing. And if you wanted more detail about some of the expenditures, it was all in the other pages. And Yeah, and where it was broken down.
And then, as I say, if there's something the board wants to do that's significant departure from what was done this year, we put that in the budget narrative to explain that, hey, if you look on page so-and-so, we spent this much money on mowing lawns last year, on contracting out to mow lawns.
Replacing laptops.
Right, yeah, exactly.
GPS for the fire trucks.
Right, this year we're gonna do this instead, you know,
Yeah.
you put that in the budget narrative so that if they look at the budget sheet, it's got the one sheet with all the numbers, and they look at the narrative and they'll be able to understand what's different from last year in that, without necessarily needing to go through.
Right. I'm just saying, even if it's the one sheet, going back to just something, so when people open the budget, they don't need an accounting degree to go through and figure out what's going on with town.
Yeah.
So yes, we can certainly have something mocked up for you for the 18th, yes, that would be. And I'll have more of we're just finishing the numbers for the insurance, to let them know how much we're anticipating in payroll and stuff like that, so that they can give us our rates for next year, so I should have that information for you by then, and I know Hunter's been working on getting estimates for various things for the highway, so that'll be highway would be the focus of that December 18th meeting.
Okay.
And again, I'll remind you that the V-Trans will be here on the 11th to go over the bridge project.
Okay.
Alright,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
One second.
favor?
Aye.
All right.
We're adjourned.